How you doing and welcome to my channel. As you can see today I'm taking a look at the Wolverine from the Deadpool Wolverine movie, and I do have both versions of them, or both SKUs here, collector's edition and the deluxe edition. Both very different boxes. As you can see, the deluxe we have an image of Hugh Jackman himself, not the figure. I don't really like it when they put the actor on the box. I like to see the figure on the box myself. On the collector's edition, we have kind of an amalgamation here. There's kind of an AI or an artist rendition of Wolverine. You know, it looks like animated in a sense. And then if you look closely, it's a photoshopped image of Hugh Jackman's lower half of his face put on the faceplate of the artist rendition. Moving around to the side, it's similar in the sense that it has the text here and the claw scratches, which have different inserts, different color inserts in them, yellow and blue. And then on the back, they're pretty identical, just different color schemes. You know, the claws are still there with different insert colors in them, and even the shell casings and that are all the same. And if I spin them back around and take the sleeves off, and while I do that, I would ask you to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps out the channel. And taking these inserts out, you can see how they're presented in the box, and there is just a little bit of a shine there, so I'm actually going to change the angle so we can see these a bit better. And here we are. This is how they're presented in the box, and it just kind of shows the difference, you know, in what comes with each iteration. On the left, obviously, we have the collector's edition, and on the right we have the deluxe with the extra head sculpt, the extra arms, and the extra battle damaged chest plate. So here we are for a quick pan of the Wolverine before we get into the details. And just some facts. Wolverine made his debut in issue 181 of The Incredible Hulk, and he fights the Hulk, and he technically wins. His real name is not Logan, it's actually James Howlett. And if you look at the scene in the Logan movie where he's pulled over by a cop, you get a quick glance at his driver's license, and it actually says on it James Howlett. That is his government name. It's actually James Howlett, not Logan. And Russell Crowe was the first actor to be asked to play Wolverine. He had just come off the back of Gladiator, and he was kind of the hot thing at the time. So he was initially asked, but he turned it down, and he recommended Hugh Jackman. But then Mel Gibson was considered to play Wolverine, but then it was decided that he was a bit too old to play him. And then the role was actually given to Dougray Scott, because shooting for Mission Impossible 2 went over schedule. Dougray Scott pulled out, and then Hugh Jackman was cast just 3 weeks before shooting the X-Men. The first movie began 3 weeks just before. And this is a bit of a strange one. This is a really odd fact. But in Earth 12025, Logan and Hercules are in a relationship. Yeah, a romantic relationship. And if you don't believe me, check out Extreme X-Men Comics Volume 2 from 2012 to 2013, where Logan and Hercules are in a relationship. So there we are for some facts. There's so many more. There's lots and lots and lots. He's been going in the comic books for over 40 years and over 20 years in the movies. So there are so many other facts there. That's just a handful of them. So moving on, let's get a look at the accessories and what comes with each SKU, I suppose. So here we have everything that comes with both SKUs. Everything that's here comes with the collector's edition and the deluxe. I'll go through the extra accessories that come with the deluxe in just a minute. I just want to show you what comes with both versions. And you can see there, I have actually taken the head sculpt off the collector's edition, and we have the 3 face plates that we'll go through them in a bit more detail a bit later on when we get to the head sculpt section. Then we have 6 hands. We have kind of an open palm gesturing hand. Then we have a more aggressive open palm gesture. And then we have closed fists. And the claws are interchangeable because they're integrated into the gloves. So they come off just like so. And then I'll actually get the right hand. There we go. You take this section off here, if I can just get it off, there we go, and you just plug the claws in so you can swap them throughout each hand, whichever hand you want, and it's great that you can do that. And the claws unfortunately are not die cast, they're plastic molds. They're not painted too bad, it's just unfortunate that we're getting plastic nowadays and not die cast or metal. You know, it would add that extra layer of realism if they wore metal, but Hot Toys aren't doing metal anymore for claws or predator blades or swords or anything. And then we have the base, and the base is the same on both SKUs, which I'm a little bit disappointed in. Although the base, it kind of bland, I suppose. It definitely reminds me of a Sideshow base with the hexagonal shape to it, and it just looks like a Sideshow one with a acrylic print put over the top of it with the Deadpool and Wolverine logo on it there, with the Deadpool logo and the Wolverine claws coming through it, and Deadpool and Wolverine written at the bottom, and then Wolverine written at the front. Not the most exciting base in the front. I would have liked to have seen a more dynamic base, at least with the deluxe version, for the price difference, but it is what it is. So I'll just quickly add the extra bits that come with the deluxe version, and we'll just see what we get. And there you go, there is everything you get with the deluxe version. So you get the addition of the sleeved arms and the head sculpt and the interchangeable battle damaged chest plate. Again, we'll have a look at the head sculpt a bit later on in a bit more detail. Phenomenal head sculpt, absolutely fantastic, as most people know at this stage, and we'll get into more detail with this a bit later on. And then we have the interchangeable battle damage chest plate, and if I just grab the non-battle damage one that comes with the collector's edition, and you can see there's a significant difference there between the two of them. There's quite a lot of battle damage on the one on the left, and on the back there's just as much battle damage. Although the battle damage paint wise, it's kind of brown on the inside, where I think in the movie it's way darker, much darker inside those bullet holes in the movie, so it's a little bit soft on the paint applications. But as you can see there is a significant difference between the two chest plates, as you can see there. So you know, much cleaner version on the collector's edition, and an option for a much different look on the deluxe. And with the arms, we all get, you know, both editions have the silicone arms, the collectors and the deluxe, which are absolutely fantastic. They look great. But with the deluxe, you get the sleeved arm, you get it's not just the sleeves that are different, the sleeved arm, the gauntlets are different. If I just grab the right arm off the silicone one, the gauntlets are quite different as well, as you can see. Much cleaner on the standard collector's edition, and there's a lot more battle damage on the interchangeable sleeved ones on the deluxe one. So it's not, you know, you can interchange them as well. If you want to put the battle damage ones on the sleeveless silicone arms, you can just interchange them. You can just pop them off and pop them onto the other arm. So there's so many options for posing them or making them look. And if I just grab the shoulder armor off there, and if I grab this standard armor, you can see that, if I get it to focus, there we are, you can see that there is a lot of battle damage on the extra ones that you get on the sleeved arms on the deluxe version. Far more detailed and far more battle damage. So again, interchangeable between the clean and the battle damaged, or the sleeved and non-sleeved if you have the deluxe, but with the collector's edition you only get the clean ones. So again, if like me you have both SKUs, there is so many options for how you can make them look, and so many ways of posing them and making them look between very clean, mid battle damaged, or completely battle damaged. Same amount of hands with both SKUs, and the face plates are the same, and like I said, the base is the same, which I'm a little bit disappointed in. But there we have just the differences in the two SKUs. So here we have the Wolverine pretty much straight up as it comes out of the box, with the exception of the claws being on him there. And let's start off with his boots, with the bottom half of them. I'm gonna bring the light up just a little bit so we can see those lights, those boots a little bit better. And there we have. They look absolutely fantastic. They are just one whole boot. They're not a split boot, which Hot Toys are slowly getting out of. Although we have a split boot design on the recent release of the X23, but they are slowly but surely getting out of that. And I think we'll get more figures in the future with the full boot with this soft kind of plastic. It hampers the articulation, but only a little bit. As you can see there, there's quite a bit of articulation, and there would be more articulation if it was a split boot, but it still is a fantastic compromise, having the more realistic full boot with the softer plastic, and it's done really well. You can see there that the buckles on it there are part of the molds, but there's enough of a relief coming off them there that they appear as though they're not part of the mold. They appear to be a separate piece. And it kind of reminds me of the recent Artisan Black Widow that came out with the molded in buckles, which have a nice, relief on them. And the patches there, the black leather patches and the straps there have a nice leather grain to them as well. And you see the mesh running down the front and the mesh running down the sides or at the back there. And there is a bit of weathering in the boots as well. A bit of airbrushing done to make them look a bit weathered. And the grip there at the sides, you can see the sides of the sole, should I say, is molded quite well. And there is a bit of speckling running through the boots as well, just to give them that bit more weathered and used look to them. And on the sole, we have a nice molded grip as well, which looks the part. Not a huge amount of relief to it. I've seen deeper molds for soles, but it still absolutely looks the part. If I can get that light just a bit better. And they are, although they are a separate piece to the trousers or the leg, it almost looks as if they're not, because they're so close to the leg. They're so in proportion. They look realistic. They don't look like a clunky addition to the figure where it's just plugged in and not in proportion. It really does look the part. As you can see there, as I pull it apart, you can see there is a separation there, and adds that bit more depth and realism. Really nice looking boots on them there. Really impressed with them. And moving on to the legs there, let's get this a bit more accurate looking. And you can see there on the knee pads that there's a little bit of weathering running through them. They're not clean. It's done quite well. The knee pads are a separate piece as well. It seems to be glued on. I think they're glued on. They're definitely not velcroed on, so they're not removable. You can't adjust them like some figures, but they're nice and snug onto the leg to look like part of the outfit. They don't look clunky. They don't look like they're protruding too much. They're done really well. They blend in nicely, and all the little segments, the different sections of the suit. This is like a rubber kind of material they've used. It kind of reminds me of the Spider-Man figures. It's a little bit worrying in the sense that maybe if you leave them in a pose for too long, it's probably going to crease, leave a permanent crease in it, in the figure. It's a little bit off-putting. Not really much we can do about it. I'm not sure how else Hot Toys could have done it. All the weathering through it as well, the airbrush weathering that's been put through it all, even at the back, you can see all the weathering that's been airbrushed onto it, and it looks great. Some people might argue that it should have a bit more weathering on it, and the fact that I have two of them, I probably am going to weather one of them a bit more. Probably going to weather the one with the sleeveless arms, this one here, and weather it a whole lot more, just to make the two of them look very different to each other. Again, more of this weathering on the belt section. It looks a bit grubby. On the red on the belt as well, on the X logo, there is a little bit of weathering on it. There's some silver coming through, like it's been scuffed up a little bit and used and worn. And the details on this figure are phenomenal. They've really hit the nail on the head here with this figure. Every aspect of it. Whether you have the deluxe or the collector's edition, it's still a fantastic figure no matter which one you have. So, to be quite honest, for me, this is quite possibly figure of the year for me for 2025. It's absolutely outstanding. Not much to complain about, to be honest with you. Looking at the torso area, you can see that there are some kind of abs that are molded in to kind of, you can kind of see a little bit of ab there. And if you do crunch them a little bit, there's quite a bit of articulation, but you do get a bit of a rolling or rippling effect. And if you were to leave it there too long, you'd probably get a permanent crease in them. But it's great that we do have so much articulation. I mean, he does crunch quite a bit there. And maybe if you were to, pose him there for a while and get those creases, if you were to maybe put a hairdryer over it just to heat it up a little bit, it'd probably even out again. Now, my little gripe is the chest piece. Because it's removable, it does poke out a little bit more than it should. There's a little bit of a gap under it here. And, they done the best they could. It's not egregious, but it is just a small little gripe. And maybe it's a good sacrifice for the Deluxe to be able to swap it out for the battle damaged. So, it is what it is. But looking at the gauntlets there, again, little bit of scuffing on the gauntlets, and the Deluxe version, as we went through in the accessories section, they are different to the sleeved ones on the Deluxe one. You do have different options, and again, we have the plastic molded blades, which isn't ideal, but it is what it is, and they still do the job and they still look the part. Up to the arms, these silicone arms are absolutely fantastic. And I know a lot of people I've read and seen online, people giving out about the seam line running down the outside of the arm. And to be honest, I can hardly see it. I really have to look for it to see that seam line. Otherwise, it's pretty much non-existent. I'm looking for it on this arm here, and I can't actually see it on this arm. I can't see it at all on that arm. On this arm here, I can slightly see it, like I said, if I'm looking for it. But on this arm here, the right arm, I can't see it at all. The definition in the arms looks fantastic. You can see the delt, the separation of the delt, huge delts on them. The tricep definition really defined. The biceps are really well defined. And the vein work running through them as well is phenomenal. You can see the vein work on this arm here, the right arm, is different to the left. It's not like they carbon copied the arms. They are two different molds, different sculpts for each arm, which, again, kudos to Hot Toys for doing that. And the fact that the silicone makes them look really real. They look like real arms. I'm so impressed with how the silicone arms look. It really, really looks well. And on the back, you can see that there is some more of this airbrushed grubbiness, just to give them the uniform or the outfit a bit more wear to it, and really looks fantastic. And I've just realised there, actually, when I put that chest plate on, I've pinched just the back there. As soon as I'm done with this segment, I'm going to have to take that off and fix it. And a little bit of white material sticking out at the top there, but it is at the back, so it's not the end of the world. I do have to be a bit more careful when I'm putting that chest plate on in future. So yeah, really impressed with this. Even the shoulder pads, the fact that they're magnetic and they can be adjusted to suit wherever you're putting the arm is fantastic. And most people who know the movie knows that when he loses the sleeves, he loses the shoulder pads as well. So the fact that they're magnetized means you can have him looking like he did in the movie, or looking a bit more comic accurate, whichever way you want to put him. No real complaints about this figure, to be honest with you. It really looks phenomenal. And this one here, I've put all the extra bits on him that come on the Deluxe version. So we'll have a quick run through these extra bits that come with the Deluxe. So we have the body armor, first of all, with all of the battle damage on it. Now, as I mentioned, I think the body armor should be a little bit, the damage on it should be a little bit darker. I think in the movie it's a lot darker, almost a black in those bullet holes and that. So they've gone a little bit light on the battle damage color wise. there's loads of battle damage on it, all the bullet holes and the gouges in it and the slices in it, and on the back how battle damage it is. I just think they've gone a little bit light on the paint colour. It should be a bit deeper, it should be a bit darker. I'm probably going to touch it up myself. Those holes should definitely be darker. And the contrast between the torso area and the chest plate, it's a little bit of a contrast, a little bit off-putting, because the chest is so battle damaged and the torso isn't. So it might be a reason why I might end up just adding my own bit of battle damage to him. And something that I've just noticed there as well between the two torso areas, you can see that this one here on the left is way more airbrushed and dirty looking than the one on the right there. I'm not sure if everybody's is like that on the Deluxe, but it's way more grubbier looking and airbrushed than the clean one here, the collector's edition. The back is pretty much the same, they're pretty similar on the back. It's just the torso area at the front there is way more grubbier and dirtier looking on the Deluxe version. Like I said, I'm not sure if that's deliberately done, or it's just a case of whoever airbrushed that one done it more than the collector's edition. I'm not sure. And then we have the arms, and something that I've just noticed now is, and I'm not sure if it's picking up on camera, but the arms are a slightly different color on my version. Not really noticeable. You can see the clean sections there underneath the shoulder armor, which makes sense. It wouldn't be getting dirty underneath the shoulder armor, so it would be cleaner up there. But you can see again more the airbrushing on the exposed parts, and again it looks on point, it looks great. And it's even more airbrushed or more grubbier looking on this one here. You can see the separation on the triceps, the biceps and the delts there, the definition in the arms. I'm absolutely blown away by this figure, to be honest with you, and I'm really enjoying the fact that I have both of them. Stand up please. There's so many different pose options for him that I think having both SKUs is justifiable, because there's two very different looks you can get from the figure, as you can see. So I do like the fact that I have both versions, just to be able to pose them up in two very different ways. And like I said, I really am leaning towards this being figure of the year for me. There's not much that's going to top him. So moving on, let's have something else I want to mention as well, actually. As I did in the accessories section, I just want to point out again the difference in the gauntlets, where the sleeved arms, the Deluxe sleeved arms, does have more damage on the gauntlets, as you can see. But they can be swapped out for this one here, as I said, which is probably what I'm going to do. I'm probably going to end up swapping out all of the severely damaged parts onto this one here, and you know, the more battle damaged shoulder pads and the more battle damaged gauntlets on the sleeveless as well. There's so many different options for how battle damaged you want to make them look. So moving on, let's have a look at the head sculpts. And here we are for the masks, or the cowl sculpt, and as you can see, it's not completely clean or spotless. It does have some weathering running through it. You can see a lot of little scratches and some paintwork taken off it, and the gouges in it, you know, the deep gouges in it in the ear part. I know what Deadpool calls those ears in the movie, but we'll just gloss over that. And as I said, the detail is absolutely phenomenal. And just like Deadpool in the movie, his eyes are pure white with a black surround on them, and they do slightly move in the movie. They're not as animated as Deadpool's, but if you look closely in the movie, his eyes do move slightly. They don't really animate like Deadpool's, so I can see why we didn't get swap out eyes or a different cowl with different, you know, more open eyes or anything like that. I think this squinted look is absolutely on point. It does the job, and the cowl itself is pretty spot on for how it looks in the movie as well. You can see that I've put the grit in his teeth kind of mouth plate on there, which detaches. If you Is it grabbing the bottom of it? No, it's not cooperating with me here. And just that's kind of how you interchange the mouth plates by magnet. And we will, oh, that makes a bit more sense. If you just press the chin and that disconnects the magnet that you can see there, that makes far more sense, and it makes it a lot easier. Just looking at the top of it there, you can see, I'm sure, I hope the camera's picking up on the definition in the separate sections of the mask or the cowl. And there is a little bit of airbrushing running through them to make them look a little bit dirty, or make the separate sections look a bit wetter than a bit dirty and grimy, which looks on point. As I said, there's a little bit of white material that's kind of bugging me just a little bit. It's just come over just a little bit. It's not over the moon about it, and there's a bit of a gap in the neck there as well, which again I'm not over the moon about, but it is what it is. It is all at the back, so it doesn't take away from the figure looking straight on. So what I'll do is I'll put the 3 face plates next to each other, and we'll have a look at the difference in the 3 face plates. And here we are for the 3 face plates that come with the Wolverine figure, and they are quite different to each other. As you can see there, the kind of semi-open mouth to the grit in the teeth to the screaming head sculpt, and the paintwork and the texture to them is all absolutely fantastic. The skin tone looks great, and for once the faceplates actually look accurate to the actor. And I'm thinking of the BVS 2.0 and the 89 Keaton Batman faceplates that, in my opinion, didn't really look like the actors at the time, and I was a little bit disappointed in those faceplates, but I'm absolutely thrilled with these faceplates. I think they look just like Hugh Jackman. And here we are for the Hugh Jackman uncowled sculpt, and nobody's going to disagree with me on this one. This is by far the best Hugh Jackman head sculpt we've ever gotten from Hot Toys. It looks absolutely phenomenal. Every single angle that I look at it, I see Hugh Jackman as the Wolverine. It is just, it's on another level compared to any previous Hugh Jackman Wolverine head sculpts that we have out there. In my opinion, they've never really gotten it right before this one. They've never gotten it as good as this. To be honest with you, I never even picked up any of the previous Wolverines because I was never fully satisfied with how the head sculpts looked. They always looked slightly off, but this one here, looking at it from every angle, looks just spot on. Everything about it, the nose is Hugh Jackman, the jawline is Hugh Jackman, the lips, it just screams Hugh Jackman from every single angle. It's fantastic. Definitely for likeness, head sculpt of the year, it is phenomenal. It looks just like Hugh Jackman. And the reason why this gets figure of the year for me, there's plenty of great figures out there for this year, for 25. Just thinking off the top of my head, Grievous, an engineering, spectacular piece of engineering, probably number 2. But for likeness for a human, this is why this gets figure of the year for me, because the likeness is just uncanny. It's there for every angle. And even the hair, the definition of the hair, let me just bring the light up just a little bit to have a look at the hair. Hot Toys always knock it out of the park with the hair, don't they? It looks fantastic, the depth to it. And unlike previous brown haired figures that we've gotten in the past, and I'm just thinking of the Obi-Wan Kenobi and maybe even the Anakin Skywalker, they have this kind of metallic sheen on them, or look to them. Although it looks great when the light hits it, they do have this metallic kind of hint to them. And this one is toned down a little bit. It's not as metallic looking, and it still looks great when the light hits it. You can see how when the light hits it, certain areas of it, there's more depth and there's lighter sections, and it does look more brown. The definition, the depth in all those separate pieces, you know, of all the different individual strands and how detailed the hair is. Nobody touches Hot Toys with sculpted hair. There's not a single 6-scale sculptor out there that does it better than Hot Toys do it. The way it's spiked up there and all the different strands, it's just absolutely fantastic. Just bring the light down again just to have a look at the sculpt. Maybe that'll do there, I suppose. No, we'll just change it to there. The skin tone is absolutely spot on from. You can see that he has slight little crow's feet at the sides. Maybe not as much as he should have, as Hugh Jackman is getting on at this stage. It's not too dark. Maybe I'll bring the light up just a little bit. The furrowed brow, the definition, this slight little bit of vein work on the side of the head, and underneath the eyes is a little bit darker. Slight bags under the eyes, just very slight bags under the eyes. The sculpted facial hair looks great with a stubble in the centerpiece, the shaved piece there at the center. I just can't get over how real this head sculpt looks. I'm really chuffed with this head sculpt and how the final product ended up looking. Not much of a decline from the prototype, to be honest with you. There's a little bit of redness in the ears, and as I said, just every single angle and the subtle details to it. Like the vein work in the head, it's not overly done. It's not intrusive on the head sculpt. The texture and the skin is absolutely fantastic. Even the neck has a little bit of texture to it. Again, not overly done. Just thinking of the T800 figure that they recently released. Just absolutely fantastic here. This is, I can't praise this head sculpt enough. I really can't. Like I said, at every angle I look at it, I just see Hugh Jackman as the Wolverine. Just phenomenal. It's just every angle just looks fantastic. I keep saying just. And I'm glad that I got both iterations. He nearly fell there. I'm glad that I got both iterations so I can display both looks from the head sculpt and the cowl look. And anybody who's a fan, I would kind of recommend that you do get both, just so you can have both very different looks from different parts of the movie. So there we are for the Hugh Jackman head sculpt. Like I said, and I'll say it again, figure of the year for me, absolutely phenomenal. So I've just kind of adjusted his eyes a little bit there. I've raised them up a little bit and given him a bit of side eye, and it elevates this head sculpt even more to another level. It complements that furrowed, angry look that he has when moving those eyes. It really does help this head sculpt. It adds more character to him, more life to him, and it gives him that bit more Wolverine aggression that he does have, you know. And like I said, complements that furrowed brow. And it is one of those figures where the rolling eyeball function really does complement this head sculpt and adds to how it looks and the realism and the expression that he has. And I think I'll be leaving him with that little bit of side eye and the eyes just looking up just a little bit, just to make him look that little bit more aggressive. So yeah, absolutely fantastic. So there we have it for the Hot Toys Wolverine from Deadpool and Wolverine, both SKUs, the collector's edition and the deluxe. And if you did like this content, please don't hesitate to hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps out the channel. And keep your eye out for future content. I did have a lot of fun posing this guy up. As you can see there's quite a lot of images that I've put up. And I am going to add this guy to my Hot Toys only playlist, where it's, you know, self-explanatory. It's Hot Toys only playlist. So check that out if you want to see more Hot Toys. And as I said, keep your eye out for future content from myself. And if you made it this far, thanks very much for sticking around, and I will catch you in the next one.